All right, guys, today we're here to talk about the Ashes of Creation boss fights.
Can I be your superhero?
All right, guys, please help promote these videos. Subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and of course, leave a comment down below. Help us to grow this channel. Thank you so much, guys. All right, let's get right into it. So the boss battles, oh my god, these things are crazy. So there are 12 to 15 raid bosses in the world, and these things are nuts, man. Under 10% of the population is actually ever going to be able to beat all of this content. This stuff is designed to always challenge you. It is designed to always give you something to strive for and something to conquer. It is extremely difficult, and that is what makes this so magical and just such an incredible system. The boss fights are going to show up in dungeons, in raids, which are basically just bigger dungeons. They're going to be showing up as regional enemies that are going to be triggered by node progression. And of course, there's going to be the legendary world bosses, which are the cream of the crop or a massive challenge. Now, a lot of these fights are going to be triggered by proper progression. You're going to be killing acolytes, you're going to be killing lieutenants, then you're going to be killing generals, and then you will finally unlock the bosses. Just it's a really cool system that forces you to really challenge yourself and work for these bosses. These are something that I cannot stress enough. You're going to have to work for these things. These bosses are insane. They're designed to be exclusive to only the people who are willing to really go for it. Yeah, the whole process is absolutely incredible. Some of these will actually be announced world events, including dungeons and legendary world bosses. All right, guys, so the thing that is absolutely insane about these boss fights is not only the exclusivity of how difficult it's going to be and how few people are really truly going to even experience all of these crazy fights, but the thing that really gets my blood boiling is the fact that these bosses are adaptive. This whole system is adaptive. The adaptive AI for this game is unlike anything that we've ever seen before in games elsewhere. These things will adapt to the progression of the server itself based on how many metropolises you have, based on the node progression of the servers and the areas. The bosses will change their behaviors. They will change the abilities and the attacks that they do. It's going to make the challenge of fighting these enemies extremely hard and extremely unpredictable. This is going to add such a layer of difficulty to the experience of boss hunting. This is going to be part of what makes so few teams and parties and players able to defeat these challenges, is because to really be able to conquer all of these things, the player is going to have to be able to really think on the fly and react at a very high level in order to survive and to succeed. The entire system is adaptive and will reward better loot based on how good the players do. If you are extremely powerful and you have a strong start and you crush the enemies in a dungeon, you go after this boss, the dungeon's actually going to scale the difficulty up. The better you do, the harder it gets, and the harder it gets, the better the loot is. So your team needs to bring their A game, absolutely crush these enemies if you want to get the best of the best in world loot. Now, just like the adaptive AI changing the whole system, something that goes right along with that is the fact that the fights themselves are not going to be telegraphed. The bosses change their behavior to use different attacks, based on the node progression. But in addition to that, when a boss attacks, in other games, you may have been used to seeing lines and red zones and damage, danger, areas that are signaled that you can react to and avoid and run out of. There is not going to be any of that in Ashes of Creation. In Ashes of Creation, you are going to have to really learn through trial and error and through failure on how to fight, because you're going to see a boss, he's going to raise his hand, and there will be no indicators to tell you what's happening or what's about to happen. When he drops that hammer, you're going to learn through your death how to not die again. You're going to learn to avoid that point of impact through experience and through your ability to visually see what's happening and react on the fly to that situation. It's going to make a very, very high gap between the players that can and cannot defeat these situations, because the people who are not able to read visual cues and react on the fly and determine what the right course of action is and how to survive these situations, they're going to get annihilated. The game is not hand-holding you. It is not going to make it easy. You got to really, really learn how to defeat these fights and to read what you see and translate that into defensive action. Now, for those of you dirty, rotten players out there who want to go and steal, it is entirely possible. If you find a world boss, if you find a situation where you have the opportunity to steal a boss from another team, you can do that. The first team to tag their target, it will be easier for them. They only have to do 40% damage to get their loot. However, if you want to steal their loot, if your party has the ability to do over 60% damage to that enemy, that loot is yours. So very, very cool. But another thing you have to be aware of is that corruption does hurt your drop rates. So beware of corruption. Make sure you work off any corruption you have before you try to engage on these boss battles, or you will screw yourself over and be missing out on some really, really insane loot. Now, the loot for this game, it works with 4 different methods. You have the loot master, who determines who gets what. You have the round robin, which automatically chooses a different player to get their stuff. You have your classic need and greed, which you can roll need if you need it, which trumps over greed, and then it goes to luck at that point. And then they're also working on a new system that is actually a bidding system, where players will actually bid their gold, and whoever bids the highest gets to take the item, and all of their gold gets distributed evenly throughout the entire raid group. So I think that's a really, really cool mechanic, and I would like to see more about that. Man, that one sounds super, super cool. I hope it works as well as it sounds, because I love it. Now, when looting these enemies, you're going to be getting all kinds of stuff, including hunting certificates. The hunting certificates are the drop item in this game, and they're really fascinating. It's like, instead of dropping a pelt, you get these loot certificates, which is basically the same thing as a pelt, and you have to take these certificates to a vendor to sell them for profit. And the beauty of this system is that the certificates are a supply and demand system, meaning the more supply, the less the demand. Meaning, if you go to a high populated area, if you go and you take all these hunting certificates and you just take them over to the local vendor, there's going to be tons of people selling it to that vendor, and you're going to make very, very little profit. However, if you take those same certificates to a different area that other players are not taking those certificates, they have a very high demand, you can make 4 to 5 times more profit selling those same certificates just in a different area. So absolutely amazing system. Now, one of the coolest and most amazing things that they have decided to do in this game is the involvement of the merchant guilds, the crafters. See, in this game, when you loot a boss, you need to employ a super high level gatherer, because the boss loot has a chance to spoil. If you use a low skill gatherer to loot the boss, you're going to have a high chance of spoiling the items that this boss can give you, Whereas if you have an extremely high tier crafter, you can get some insane, awesome, amazing gear. And this really integrates the need for the harvesters and the merchants to be involved with the warrior guilds. You need to actually employ one of these high tier merchants to come and be a serviceman for the looting needs of the team, because without these guys, you're not going to achieve the full availability of the loot. You need these guys. They have to work hand in hand, and one without the other is going to fail. So I love that. I love that they put such a high value on the merchants and on the gatherers, and how they have involved them as a necessary component to a combat group. I think that is just absolutely fantastic. Now, going hand in hand, these gathering professions have the ability to get amazing loot, including these rare legendary drops and legendary crafting materials that are essential for creating legendary weapons, and even getting legendary flying mounts. These mounts, if you can collect the right material, you can actually get a mount, a flying mount that has a 30-day lifespan. And these are extremely rare. You can only have like 10 of them on a server, but without one of these high tier gathering professions in your group, you'll never have any chance to collect these crazy rewards. And these are some of the most prestigious things in the entire game that anyone will ever see. Out of 10,000 people, only 20 people will ever have legendary flying mounts at any time. So anyway, guys, I hope you're hyped and I hope you love this system. The bosses are something that I am so passionate about and so excited to experience and to take my crew in there and crush. I guarantee you we are going to be one of the 9% that destroys these scrubs. And I can't wait to see you guys kill them too, man. These are going to be some absolutely insane experiences, granting the greatest loot in the entire game. And yeah, I hope you guys get pumped with me, man. All right, guys, if you would like to join the Team VASH Guild, come to our Discord, apply, and be ready to charge into the Ashes of Creation world with an awesome, awesome team that's got your back, man. I can't wait to see you guys in the game. I will catch you in the next one. Oh, yeah!